Hello everyone, I'm Cappers and welcome to my first video on FM Scout. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I hope you enjoy my video, and today what we are doing a team review, sort of a guide. Yeah, that's more of the word, a team guide on Inter Milan. I know AC has already been done by Loki, and so we are not really crossing anywhere. We're in the same place. We're at the Giuseppe Meazza, the name of Inter Stadium. Well, or San Siro, whatever tickles your fancy really. But this is Inter Milan. So obviously Inter Milan haven't been the best of positions in the last few years. Last season they finished in 8th, before that 5th, before that 9th, and really haven't really hit the heights that they did in the period between 05-06 and 2009-10. So why am I doing Inter Milan, you may be asking right now? Well, I'm doing a series with them over on my channel. Link will be in the description. I'm about 15 episodes in, and I'm basically trying to return them to that glory which they had in 05 and 06. And that's also called Black and Blue. Why is it called Black and Blue, you might ask? Their nickname is Nerazzurri, and that means black and blue, I think. Let's hope. So, a little quick overview on the club. Fierce rivals, AC Milan, Juve, Roma, Napoli, Atalanta. The big one obviously is AC Milan. So, as this is a guide, let's take you through the squad. So, as you can see, it's quite a well-rounded squad. I mean, you've got 3 goalkeepers. You've got quite a solid back line. And then you've got sort of a nice midfield. And you've sort of just got a lot of sort of, youth players who aren't really the best, I think it's fair to say. So, in terms of key players, the first of which I would say is Samir Han Danovich. He's an absolutely fantastic goalkeeper. He's made some absolutely wonderful saves for me over on the save. Very reliable, gets the job done. And he's got some nice stats for a keeper, mainly as a goalkeeper, as most are, but can also play that sweeper keeper role with not too much trouble. The next player that I'd like to sort of go over is, where is he? Geoffrey Kondogbia. Now, Kondogbia can be the staple of your midfield for years to come. He's a box-to-box midfielder by trade. Look at those physical stats. Whole mama. He's also got a wand of a left foot, it's fair to say. Yaya Toure-esque, I'd like to say. And he's been absolutely fantastic for me. Just a couple more. The other main man, of course, is Malreaux Accardi, the man himself. Look at those mentals. 18 finishing. Not much you could really ask for. He's fantastic. He will definitely score you goals. And he's a team that you should really try to build. He's a player who you should really try and build around. Another mention, I think, has to go to Jonathan Biabiani, actually. He's a very useful player. I wouldn't say he's so much of a key player. However, he will cause massive trouble with his pace down the right-hand side. So, we'll just go through the youth players quickly to see if they have any sort of hot prospects. Andrea Pinamonti is quite a hot prospect. He's a defensive forward. Looks okay. He could probably become a Serie A striker, potentially, if you play him right. Their other decent one is Zian Emmers from Belgium. An advanced playmaker, or a deep line playmaker. He's just sort of Daily Blind kind of player, minus the centre-back role. And then if we just go into the under-18s, Zeno van Heudzen, another Belgian. Centre-back, has got bags of potential, would probably go far. The rest of them aren't too great, but they do have a very good youth intake, which you will see later on. A couple of players that I got from the youth intake in the first season. So they've got decent youth. Onto the transfer side of things, they get £7.14 million budget, and they've got only around 16 £100,000 on the wage available. However, the board can be nice sometimes and will give you more money. But if we just look on the balance, there's not a lot in the bank. However, if you start qualifying for that Champions League, you really will start rolling in money. I wouldn't be too bothered about the balance in the first year, because if you do manage to go big and get into the Champions League, that will all sort of fix itself. Something I'd like to go over first, and more than anything else, is tactics. Tactics are so important on FM this year, and they also are very hard to crack. So the first thing that I'd recommend is patience, because Inter Milan are a very ambiguous team. You can't really nail down one tactic. It's kind of the same with most teams, but what I'd recommend first, but after that, is to have an away tactic and home tactic. So tactics I recommend: a 4-4-2, a flat 4-4-2, really. Can be very useful in this game once you get it right. You have sort of your flat back four. You've got your midfield, who can have some attacking wingers potentially, and then you've got your striker combo, which can really sort of change. Like, you can have a complete forward support and a poacher, or an advanced forward, or a deep 9 forward and an advanced forward. It can be changed a whole lot. But what I'd also recommend is a 4-3-3. It's set up as a 4-1-4-1. We'll get onto that in just a second. But this is what I'd recommend. This is what I play. It's quite similar. If you could get some inside forwards, then get them, because I think they'd work better. But you want to make use of your wing backs, because wing backs are essential this year. They can do wonderful works for you. And your midfield trio, again, massively important. Register, I find this year, is a very good role, and Kondogbia plays it better than anyone if you could train him into it. And then the front three, it can be quite fluid, but you don't have to play a false 9. I find a poacher does work as well. It just depends who could suit it. So, yeah. Of course, you could chop and change things. So, as to an away tactic, I could suggest a 4-1-4-1 and maybe play some counter-attacking football, maybe go a bit more direct to try and get the ball up the wings, maybe go and exploit the flanks to just bomb these wingers on forward, get these wing-backs on the overlap, and maybe if you're away, maybe even drop it back to wing-back support, just so they can maybe defend a bit more instead of all the time bombing forward. That is of course when you play sort of the weaker teams. However, if you're against a beatable team, maybe dropping it back to standard, and maybe even keeping it like that, but just drop it back to standard would be your port of call. I'd like to go over first is who to get rid of. Who should you get rid of to make Milan a better place? Because sometimes you've got to get some players out before you could get players in. And the first player I'd recommend shipping out is Felipe Melo. He's on a lot of money. He's got some very good mental stats and some decent physical stats for a 31-year-old. However, he's not going to be like that forever. And maybe transitioning Inter into a younger team would be better. Now, he's just come in for 2.6 million, so you may have to wait until January. But I'd just recommend trying to get him out as much as possible. Maybe seeing if you could get 5 million for him. It might seem like a stupid decision, but I think in the long run, it would be a better choice. Secondly, and this is sort of a debatable one, Marcelo Brozovic. He's not a bad player, however, realistically, he's not going to get into the team alongside Kondogbia, who would play that box-to-box role, and Kondogbia is 10 times the player that Brozovic is. I think he's just joined the club, but you may be able to ship him out, and you could maybe try and get around £12.5 million for him, and that would be huge money, because then you'd have a lot of money to play with, and he's also not, he's on fairly decent wages, but every little helps, really. Next recommendation for shipping out is Juan Pablo Carrizo. He's getting on a bit. He's not on massive wages, but again, he's not really what you want. I mean, you could try, if you sell him, and get a young Italian goalkeeper, as I think that would be something which helps. But 6 appearances in the league in 4 years really isn't great, and I think shipping him out would be the best thing to do for you and also for him. Finally, the fourth player who I'd recommend getting rid of, it might be a surprising one, but Rodrigo Palacio. He's getting on a bit. He's 33 years old. His technical stats are good still. So are his mentals, but the physicals are only going to decline. He's on £77,000 a week. And if you can ship him out, I mean, you can offer him out for 1.5 million. I'm sure a club will come in for him. But those £77,000 you can get off of the wage bill can take it so far, because then you can afford to offer agent money, and you can... So now onto a little transfer segment. The first player that I'd recommend is Christopher Ager, the wonder kid himself, signed for Celtic yesterday. As I said, you need a player to replace Freddie Guarín. He could do more than that. He could play at every position, from centre-back upwards to striker through the middle. And he can literally do everything. You do have another player, Hassan Nahuri, but Ager is much better. You can get him for around £1.2 million. But you're going to have to put in big offers to get him in, as, of course, all of the clubs want him. But he's a fantastic register. He's tall. He's around 6'5", I think. And realistically, he can be your centre midfielder alongside Kondogbia and potentially Nahuri for absolute years to come. So he's a massive recommendation. He should be your top buy. The next players that I'd recommend are two attacking midfielder left. We have Alito from Celta Vigo. Nice rhyme. He'll set you back massive price of 17.75 million. However, I've used him on my black and blue save, and he's been an absolute stalwart. He's been fantastic. I would highly recommend him. The next player is Sebastian Druisi from River Plate. He's a younger player, and he's wanted by all of the top clubs. If you see, he's wanted by, in the game anyway, he's wanted by Chelsea, Milan, everyone like that. He's more of a winger kind, but he's very much like Alito, and he's got a release clause of around 4.4 million. So he'd be a bargain, and he could help you rebuild into Milan. My next recommendation would be Martin Montoya. He'll cost you 5.75 million if you aren't using the database I'm using. But if not, then if Real Betis don't sign him, then I'd go in for him if I were you. He's got potential, he's rapid, good defender, great crossing. I can't recommend him highly enough. The final player that I'll recommend to you today, FM Scout viewers, is Jonathan Calorie. Into a massively linked with him in real life before he made a move to Atletico Mineiro. He's got a lot of potential. He'll cost you around £4 to £6 million. That does vary. However, he will definitely be interested in playing for Inter. He's got massive potential. I've seen him grow to a world-class striker in the future. And not only that, but he's a deadly finisher. And I can't recommend him highly enough to play that backup striker role. And he can fill in if Accardi does happen to get injured or Jovetic isn't firing. So, hello everyone, welcome back. These are the transfers that I made in my first season of Black and Blue. I brought in Calorie, I brought in Ager. Danilo Cataldi's another one who I'd recommend if you do get the money, because he's a good Italian central midfielder. I'm not going to show you their stats, as might be a bit of a spoiler, but I'll show you Ager's. He hasn't played a lot. We're in the second season. He's valued at 3.1 million, but he does look brilliant. I ended up bringing in Alito. He's just an absolutely fantastic player. I can't recommend him highly enough. And then these were sort of just loan players. On the outs though, I sold quite a few players. I sold Nagatomo, which you don't have to, but 12.5 million was a massive price. Danilo Ambrosio, I did sell him. Don't really regret it too much, but he was a decent player. Dodo went out, Melo went out, and Palacio went out. And yeah, those are just the transfers. You can, of course, make different ones. You don't have to follow exactly how I did it. But those are some good players who I would recommend for you guys, as they really do sort of give your team a nice base. However, I would also, you don't need to, but I got rid of Nemanja Vidic. If you don't have the database, then I'd get rid of Nemanja Vidic if I were you. I managed to finish second in the league in the first season, and I'm sure you guys will succeed just as well. So everyone, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this was in-depth enough for you. I didn't want to go too overboard, however, I hope this has done enough for you to really sort of get your Inter Milan team into shape. As I know, before I started, I would love to see a team guide on various different teams. I'd like to say a massive thank you to FM Scout for the opportunity. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, as there's plenty of fantastic creators and lots of awesome content. My channel is in the description, so if you liked me, then you can go follow me. You can subscribe to me, but you could also follow me on Twitter. The handle's on the screen right now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment. I'd happily come back and answer the comments. But yeah, if you enjoyed, do all those things, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.